Welcome to the Innovations in Clinical Implementation podcast, the Ovation Lab and A4M series dedicated to turning breakthrough science into practical clinical tools. Today, we're introducing a transformative new category in mitochondrial therapeutics. I'm Dr. Lexi Gonzales, Senior Clinical Implementation and AI Specialist at Ovation Lab. I'm joined today by Tom Blue, one of the founding partners at Ovation Lab. And we're joined by Dr. Sundeep Dugar to explore how precision-formulated epicatechin in Mitokatlyst activates mitochondrial biogenesis, supports mitophagy, and enhances energy resilience in ways that have major implications for health span. Dr. Sundeep is the co-founder and chief scientific officer at Blue Oak Nutraceuticals, a public benefit company focused on affordable, science-backed nutraceuticals that support mitochondrial health and cellular energy. A pharmaceutical drug hunter with nearly 40 years of experience in small molecule drug discovery, he has helped bring multiple drugs from the lab to market and is an inventor on more than 100 issued and applied patents, with over 70 publications and presentations to his name. At Blue Oak Nutraceuticals, Dr. Dugar leads the research behind Mitokatlyst, a highly purified epicatechin compound designed to stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis and support healthy aging and performance. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Really a pleasure to be here and join you guys.
What a pleasure to have you here. Yes, a very, very rare find in this world. So, wow, where should we start?
So we're going to start with, what have we learned about the connection between mitochondria and aging over the past decade or so?
I think the association of mitochondria and aging is really well established over time. And part of the whole role is that the essence of life is mitochondria, right? And we have learned the idea that over age, as mitochondria depletes, starting age 21, you naturally lose 10 to 15% of your mitochondrial content, and that's aging. And that leads to the consequences of aging, loss of muscle strength, wrinkles, hair loss, et cetera, et cetera. But it also has an impact on functions of your organs within the body, right? And those are things. So if you think about this, mitochondria is the one organelle that we share with all living species on planet Earth. Plants have them. And they all use mitochondria as a form of providing energy. And energy is the substance of life. And as your energy goes down, you see the consequences of health span, aging, as we move forward.
And so what do you feel like is insufficient about how we're addressing mitochondrial dysfunction today as we talk about aging? And you mentioned the loss of mitochondria, I believe, density over time. So can you speak to what do you feel like is the gap for how we're addressing that currently?
Actually, so two things that have been established very clearly, unequivocally, that helps health and aging is exercise and nutrition. Okay. And we don't talk about it much. We have segmented the body into silos and organs, but we don't talk about exercise and nutrition. And fundamentally, that's the gap in our health span. Most time we go treat a cancer, we treat metabolic diseases, but we don't talk about how we can stay healthy with our clinicians. And so the gap here really is a conversation of exercise and nutrition that should be premier and top in everything we do. And then comes the idea, okay, so what does exercise mean? And then, of course, there are cases where people cannot exercise or they're unable to exercise. And so the idea comes in that nutrition we can manage, right? Because it's the food we eat. But what about exercise in people who cannot exercise? And that became one of the things I wanted to understand. And that led to last 16 years of research we've been doing that led to Mitokatlyst.
And so I would love to learn more, and we've talked about this briefly as well, but what is the connection between exercise and mitochondrial signaling?
So it's a wonderful question, and I wish I had the time, but of course I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible. So this started with some collaboration we were doing, or I got involved in with clinicians at UC San Diego, and observations they were making in the clinic. And at that time, the idea was, okay, exercise is good. What they were seeing with a certain studies about effect on patients with diabetic cardiomyopathy. But while we can say that exercise is one of the basic ways to increase mitochondria, and the way it happens is that when you do exercise, you put an energy deficit, a demand on that cell. And since mitochondria are the primary provider of energy, there is an signaling process that happens that the cells now will make more mitochondria to provide the energy in the absence of cell division. Okay, that's the key. If you have a proliferative cell that is dividing, it will make more mitochondria because the two daughter cells have to have the same amount of mitochondria. But this is a signal that the body makes or has to produce more mitochondria in the absence of cell division. Okay. And as I looked around, nobody could give me the answer how that happens. And that's the part that we figured out, that as you exercise, one of the first things that happens is formation of reactive oxygen species. And they turn into peroxide, and it leads to the signaling processes within the mitochondria that then indicates to the nucleus that mitochondrial biogenesis is to be initiated. So just to go back and because I know we have a short time, but this is very briefly, that mitochondria make the start all the steroid synthesis in the body. Okay, they convert cholesterol to pregnenolone. Then in the adrenal, the rest of the steroidogenesis happens. But fascinatingly, mitochondria control the first and the last step of the steroidogenic process. And the question was why, right? But they both are enzymes that can be activated by peroxide. And peroxide comes from ROS. So in my mind, it was like, this is too obvious. Right? So if you put the mechanism, ROS comes out through exercise, goes to peroxide, activates these two enzymes in the mitochondria. And I said, okay, if these are the only two enzymes that are activated, what is the product of that? Because see, whatever the mitochondria are doing, they have to be able to do it in every cell, right? Just not the adrenal. So the product of that is a steroid, 11-beta hydroxyprogesterone, right? Just two steps from cholesterol. I'm a chemist at the background. So draw the structure, and we synthesized it. And it is one of the most potent initiator of mitochondrial biogenesis, right? I went to PubMed. There's no report on the pharmacology of this steroid. Actually, nobody's even studied it.
Wow.
Okay, so it was like, this is too good to be true, right? Now, I'm obviously condensing many years of work, right?
Yes.
It didn't happen in the 30 seconds I'm telling you, right? But here is a steroid that the mitochondria have the potential to make, and it can be made by the activation of those two enzymes by exercise, and nobody's ever looked at it. So we made it, we studied it, it does everything. So I have preclinical evidence that the steroid can be made because we isolated the mitochondria and we can show it's done. And by the way, I also have to say that this work is not just mine. I've had amazing collaborators through these 16 years, so they should be appropriately acknowledged. I can't name all of them because I may miss some. Then they'll be upset, and we'll spend the time acknowledging people. So I want to acknowledge the contributions of many, many collaborators over the years that have worked with me. So then the question comes in, okay, I have this thing, how the steroid really works with exercise. So we did study in rats, and we could clearly show that the level of this exercise goes up, of the steroid goes up when the rats exercise. Within an hour and a half or so, it's gone. And then we started looking, and finally we found it in humans. We're the first ones to detect this new steroid in humans, understand its pharmacology, and now have the connection of the pathway, the mechanism of how exercise induces mitochondrial biogenesis. So we're the first ones to really make that connection. And that was an epiphany and an understanding that really opened up the doors of what happens when you exercise. And so along the way, we've been working with epicatechin, and we were working with a lot of its congeners, correlated structures. And epicatechin is a very unstable molecule because it has a specific structural feature that makes it thermodynamically unstable. Interestingly, that specific feature on a steroid is stable. So what your body is doing is making a product that is thermodynamically more stable in your body, in your exercise. And epicatechin replicates that. That's why when Mitokatlyst we had to purify it, formulate it, stabilize it so that it is appropriately bioavailable.
Gotcha. And I think epicatechin is a common term that we've heard before. So how are we distinguishing the epicatechin in Mitokatalyst from the epicatechin that I think many practitioners, have some familiarity with in a different context, mainly as primarily, I would say, antioxidant support?
Exactly, yeah. So people think that it's a flavonol, so have an antioxidant property, but that would require a high dose.
Okay.
So if you go to 500 milligrams or a gram, yes, it'll behave as an antioxidant. But if you go at a lower dose, okay, that's where this new biology, pharmacology reveals itself. So contrarily normal thinking, it was not the higher dose. We went the other way because I was looking for molecular interactions, not a general property.
Gotcha.
Right? So the best thing is if you have it, you dial down the dose and see what's happening. And that's when epicatechin shows its real pharmacology down to nanomolar concentrations. It works beautifully. So if you go to micromolar concentrations, it's an antioxidant. But think about this, that if you put in an antioxidant, I just told you that ROS and peroxide are key to biogenesis. And if you throw in an antioxidant, it'll quench that process. And there's publications out there that people that exercise and take antioxidants like vitamin E or other antioxidants actually do not realize the full benefit of exercise. And here is the answer why.
So that comes behind, or that kind of supports this idea of why you have to be careful about when you're taking antioxidants around exercise. Whereas now we are learning that there is a different end to that spectrum of dosing where we actually get better benefits with exercise based on this mechanism through the steroidogenesis and the I think it's molecular mimicry between the epicatechin and this hormone.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so you must have read one of my papers.
We've met before. So.
But you're absolutely correct, right? Because what we have seen is when you exercise, and this is the wonder of human biology, how nature has done it. See, the cells don't realize whether this ROS is pharmacological or pathological. So when it induces mitochondrial biogenesis, we have shown that concurrently cells express redox enzymes like catalase and glutathione in the cell. Those levels go up. So what the cell is doing is saying, I know I have a signal to make biogenesis, but you know what? I will also create these antioxidant systems within the cell in case it's not, right? So, I mean, if you think about it, that's beautiful balancing. So if you're exercising well, and I mean, throw in the idea of have good nutrition, you don't need antioxidants. Think about it, because you don't give antioxidants to children. right? So what is happening is as we age, the oxidative processes, because our cellular energy is down, the cells are now loaded up with even dysfunctional mitochondria, and they themselves make ROS, right? So as we get age, we don't exercise enough, and we love donuts, yeah, and we create all these ROS, which is the cells can't manage. So you need an antioxidant. But when you're a child, you have significant exercise, body movement, and your body's growing. You don't need antioxidants. So the cell has an innate capacity to manage it. What you have to do is exercise and eat well. And you'll be amazed what the body has, I borrow the term from a great colleague of mine, Bob Navio, of salugenesis. It has an innate capacity to heal itself. We just need to give it the resource.
Right. That's it. So listening to this, it sounds like precision dosing, ultra purity.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into making this
correct
a very novel product. One thing that I'm wondering about, you have the wonderful metaphor about fireplaces versus wood in the fire. And there are loads and loads of mitochondrial function related products. Can you unpack that metaphor?
Absolutely. So those are what we call anaplerotics, or they support mitochondrial function. Okay. The idea really here is also how well is still debatable, because people have not really delved into how bioavailable they are and what is their utility in terms of dosing. Like anything, if you are a nutritionist, you don't want to eat 10 steaks, right? It's moderation, it's balancing. In my view, a lot of these supplements support mitochondrial function, but there's still a debate of how much who should take what, right? Okay. But then think about it. If you don't have enough mitochondria, right, you've stacked up a lot of firewood in your house, but you don't have the fireplace to burn it, right? Because unless you have the mitochondria to process these nutrients, what are they going to do? Not a whole lot, correct? And so that's where exercise comes in. And if you cannot, that's where we've been studying Mitokatlyst, is that you need to produce the mitochondria you need. And the only way, normal way to do it is exercise.
Right.
Nutrients don't do it, right? There are ways to insult the mitochondria and cause a reflex response on the mitochondria, so they will make more mitochondria. But that is not through a positive signal. That's through a negative signal of a mitochondrial insult. Exercise is a positive signal to make more mitochondria, correct? So to your point, Tom, the idea here is I can take a lot of the other supplements, but if I don't have the mitochondria, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Right? So you can exercise, but if you cannot, perhaps things like Mitokatlyst can help you.
Right.
And so in addition to people who can't exercise, because I think I would love to unpack that further, because I think that would be a huge win for a lot of us that don't either have the time or the ability to exercise. What are the other types of patient profiles that you would see benefit from something like Mitokatalyst?
So this is the thing. Pretty much every pathology touches the mitochondria. There isn't one that does not, because they're the sentinels of health. Okay. They respond to external or internal insult, whether it's a monogenic disease, or you have an infection, or you have metabolic disorders, or whatever. They all touch the mitochondria. So if you think about this, as you're aging, you're losing mitochondria. If you're not exercising enough, you're not replacing the mitochondria. But if you have an external insult or an internal insult that is a disease or a pathology, your mitochondria are stressed to address those. So you get into a spiral. All right. So you get into a spiral where the extent of internal bioenergetics is now depleting faster than if you just have a healthy, you don't have any chronic conditions. So to your question, there is no pathology that does not touch the mitochondria. And that goes from mental health to physiological processes and everything. But again, I want to emphasize is that needs to be matched with nutrition.
Which is the firewood, based on your...
Firewood, exactly.
Yes.
And the analogy that I use is that when you take a fireplace and you put in soft wood, it'll burn faster, but can create a lot of smoke, doesn't give you the intense heat that you need. Okay. And those are things like processed food, sugars. On the other hand, if you put hardwood, it takes a little longer to burn, but it burns clean. You get more heat, not much of the debris and the smoke. And that's your proteins and fibers and fat and stuff like that.
That's nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
So that's the whole concept.
And
this
so
could go on and on.
I know.
I'm watching our time dwindle away. How should we draw this wonderful conversation to a conclusion?
Well, I think it would be great to hear from you, Sundeep. How would you explain Mitocatalyst to a practitioner in a sentence if we had to give this as an elevator pitch to a patient? Because I think this is a very innovative concept that could be very hard to translate to patients.
Yeah.
So if we could translate an elevator pitch to our practitioners listening today, how might we do that?
Very good question. I'm a scientist. Okay? So I'm gonna try to answer that question in the sense that if you think about it, mitochondria are the reason you stay healthy. Okay. If you lose them, that will affect your health. And you have a choice. You can really be diligent in your exercise and your nutrition and try to address that issue. And if you do, you will see the benefits of it. The question comes in if you don't, or you cannot, or there is an extra stress that does it. While you may have other therapies that you're looking at, don't stop that. Nobody's saying you should not take chemotherapy for cancer. But in the background, if you supplement the mitochondria, it will help you. That's what it is supposed to do. It has come in our evolutionary process since its inception in the modern eukaryotic cell over 2.5 billion years ago. Every species on planet Earth uses it for its life, for its sustenance, for its health. And if you are losing it, you need to get it back. And it will only help you to have a better response to the things that bother you.
Can I test out my elevator pitch?
Of course.
Yeah.
Mitocatalyst, exercise in powder form.
That's a good one. No, it is. I love that, but I don't want to.
It's too simple for you geniuses, but it works very well for me.
Yes.
Tom, we are a country of couch potatoes. Okay,
that will be healthy couch potatoes.
I don't want to encourage that lifestyle, but people. But
it helps to supplement if you are unable to access exercise.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think if you have something that is bothering you, then yes, it will. It is a process that will help you. But always use it with good nutrition.
Yes. Always. And so if you are just as curious as Tom and I are to learn more, you can find the full health span protocol built by the Blue Oak Nutraceuticals team, deeper mitochondrial education, and exclusive offers from their team on our Innovations in Clinical Implementation page, which will be on the same page when this podcast launches. Thank you so much, Sundeep, for joining us.
Thank you.
What a pleasure.
Thank you both. It was a wonderful conversation. But as you say, I love this topic. I'm so passionate. I can go on and on.
Yes.
Okay. So, and I hope people take the time to learn about the mitochondria and try and take care of themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mitocatalyst E is the first practitioner-grade supplement that makes more mitochondria without cell proliferation. More mitochondria means more energy to fuel every process in your body. Backed by 15 preclinical and clinical studies, Mitocatalyst E promotes skeletal muscle strength and endurance, cardiovascular function, and efficient metabolic function, as well as stimulates healthy inflammatory response. Learn more at www.blueoaknx.com.